Hello and welcome to the Ars Electronica Center here in Linz, Austria, to our media information about this year's S+T+ARTS Prize. The S+T+ARTS Prize is a wonderful initiative by the European Commission together with several partners that we will also introduce in this information session. We are now for the 7th times in this wonderful position to host the S+T+ARTS Prize, to organize it, and therefore also we have this luxury to present you the winners of this year's edition. This will be done by Veronika Liebl, who is in charge of all the European Union collaborations here at Ars Electronica, and she is really one of the best experts also about the S+T+ARTS initiative. Please, Veronika, tell us about this year.
Thank you very much, Gerfried. Yes, it is an absolute pleasure and welcome also to this press conference, this media information about the S+TARTS Prize winners 2022. Before we actually start and jump into the winners of this year, I would like to give some background on the S+TARTS initiative, on the evaluation process, on the jury members and the submission to the S+TARTS Prize. But let's start first with the initiative itself. S+TARTS is by now really the European lighthouse project to bring out new forms of innovation at the nexus of art, science and technology. S+TARTS is also that successful and spread in the meantime all over Europe and even beyond, because from the very early stages on it actually developed some specific methodologies where we actually gathered different tools, different learnings, also different, of course, resources on how to implement these collaborative cases, these collaborative interdisciplinary projects on specific cases. And that is what we call in S+TARTS the S+TARTS pillars. Over the time, several of these pillars emerged in S+TARTS. One of the pillars is S+TARTS residencies. By now we have more than 200 residencies already realized, which focus on this interdisciplinary research collaboration in the premises, in the locations of specific science and research organizations and the industry, of course. 100 more of these residencies will actually come also all over the next 1 and 2 years. Another of the pillars are S+TARTS pilots, where artists are involved really in specific industry pilots led by very specific industry challenges and collaborate over a longer period of time than in the residencies together with the science and technology partners. One of the pillars actually brings also out new forms of transdisciplinary learning, in particular also learning educational programs to support skill development and capacity building towards digital transformation. This pillar is called S+TARTS Academies. We have one pillar which actually recently started to grow all over Europe in European regions, which wants to bring the usual European-led collaborations really to local levels to also form and ground art and tech centers in European regions. Upper Austria is, for example, one of these regional centers. Digital innovation hubs who focus very much on SME and small and medium-sized enterprises and how artists can actually contribute to the development of new services, also new products for these SMEs. And last but not least, the first of the pillars of S+TARTS, the S+TARTS Prize. The S+TARTS Prize is the one pillar which actually continuously evolved and also continuously was implemented since the very beginning, since 2016. And we are, of course, very happy at Ars Electronica that it's Ars Electronica who implemented the S+TARTS Prize on behalf of the European Commission since the very inception. S+TARTS Prize also serves as a directive for policy for those actually designing and funding, of course, innovation and research programs, and tries also to bring out really successful, demonstrative and groundbreaking examples of these collaborative practices between art, science and technology. The S+TARTS Prize is quite specific in this sense that from the very early stages on, the European Commission decided that the STARTS prize needs to be opened really to submissions from all over the world, from all across disciplines, from artists, scientists, and representatives from industry. So we're not looking only towards innovation in Europe, but we are actually opening up the whole STARTS prize to submissions from all over the world, also trying to bring in international excellence of innovation towards and to Europe, and of course try to facilitate as much as possible this diversity and know-how exchange between Europe and the world in innovation. We are calling for projects in the field of groundbreaking collaborations between the sectors, as I said. Also all forms of artistic projects, of artworks that have a strong connection to innovation in technology and business. Of course, we're also looking for technological and scientific research which is inspired by our arts, or actually which uses as a way of development this artistic thinking process, artistic thinking as a catalyst for the development of the innovation. And we do this in two specific categories. One is the Grand Prize for Artistic Exploration, which is awarded for artistic exploration, as the category says, and artworks where the appropriation through art has a strong potential or also the ability to change the use, the deployment, and the perception of technology. The second category is the Grand Prize for Innovative Collaboration, which is awarded for innovative collaboration between the arts and creative sector and the tech sector and the industry. In particular, also to open up new pathways towards innovation. Both of these prizes receive 20,000 euros of prize money and are exhibited all over Europe, all over the world. In the last part of this media information, we will actually also give a bit of outlook on where these projects will be presented in the upcoming month. Ars Electronica is not organizing this all alone. And here a big thanks actually to our huge and fantastic partner network around Europe. In particular, two who are doing the STARTS Prize since the very beginning together with us, WACH in Amsterdam and Bossard, the Center for Fine Arts in Brussels. Then we have actually a couple of partners who joined us also through so specific focus, for example, the focus on media also. We have the Frankfurter Book Fair with us in the consortium and the specific focus on Arts Plus. We also have French Tech, which is a French association for startup promotion. And we have two innovation companies in the group with T6 from Italy and Innova Plus from Portugal, who are trying to analyze the models the artists are applying in these STARTS collaborations and bring this then also forward to industry and research organizations. The entire initiative itself is funded by the European Commission, in particular the Horizon 2020 research funding program of the European Commission. And it is grounded in the DG Connect, in the Director General for Communication Networks, Content and Technology. Under this aegis, more than 100 organizations from Europe are actually collaboratively working on all of the pillars I've mentioned. So it's next to us, many other organizations who are working on residencies, on research pilots, on these regional centers and academies. And it's us 7 organizations specifically focusing on the STARTS Prize led by Ars Electronica. As Gerfried said at the very beginning, this year marks actually the 7th edition already of the STARTS Prize, which is for us, of course, a huge chance also to reflect a bit back onto the fantastic diversity we have achieved over the last 7 years. It's more than 200 projects actually we selected already over the 7 years, with more than 12,000 submissions in this time. And the selection from these 7 years demonstrate one thing really well, that we have a fantastic diversity of represented sectors, technologies, cultural backgrounds, also organizational backgrounds, the type of research done within these projects. And this diversity is something we also reach through the model of this dual submission process in the STARTS Prize. So since the very beginning in the STARTS Prize, we decided that you can enter through the open call, of course, but we will also engage every year an international network of experts. We engage them as advisors, and they give us recommendations for fantastic projects, for fantastic collaborations, and people who are working on these groundbreaking projects. All these recommended projects need to submit then also officially, so they go through the full evaluation process, but for us it is a fantastic tool to increase the diversity, the spectrum of projects, and you will see this also in the final selection of the top 30 projects. The STARTS Prize is held in parallel to the Prix Ars Electronica. We will actually release the winners of the Prix Ars Electronica next Monday. Artists are able to submit to both of the competitions, and that's also why we are asking the jury of the Prix Ars Electronica to nominate per category 10 of the projects to the jury of the STARTS Prize. From this whole pool of submitted projects, 2 are then selected for the big prizes, 10 for the honorary mentions, and 18 for the nominations. And here, the biggest of all thanks actually to our fantastic jury, who had the tough job to go through this massive amount of applications this year from April 28th to May 1st. They came together finally back in Linz on site for 4 days, and we invited a fantastic round of representatives from industry, from culture, from innovation and policy making. I will quickly introduce them. From the left to the right, Asako Tomura is the General Manager of the Corporate Technology Strategy Division of Sony Group Corporation in Japan, where she's currently working for the development of science and technology, communication and sustainability. She's also visiting researcher at the University of Tokyo in the field of collective creation by artists and engineers, so very much what we do in STARTS. Alexander Mankowski is a futurologist at Daimler, was a part of the jury already several times. He currently works on topics which are future studies dealing with the ever-changing culture of mobility in particular, but also other aspects related to possible paths into the future. Francesca Bria is certainly a household name for many of us, for many of you. She's currently the president of the Italian National Innovation Fund and honorary professor of the Institute for Innovation and Public Purpose at UCL in London. She's a senior advisor at the United Nations on digital cities and digital rights, and led the Decode project on data sovereignty in Europe. She also serves as a member to the European Commission's high-level expert group on the economic and societal impacts of research and innovation. And as if this was not enough, we had 2 more outstanding new jury members. One was Andres Colmenares, co-founder of IAM, a creative research lab in Barcelona that helps responsible citizens and organizations make better decisions by studying in particular the social and ecological impacts of digital technologies and infrastructures. In his role as a strategist and curatorial designer, also creative foresight consultant, he worked together with organizations like Nesta, Tate, Red Bull, University of Arts London and BBC. And last but not least, a representative from the world of culture, Lucia Garcia, who was actually the executive director for Laboral in Gijón in the north of Spain for more than 10 years and became mid of last year, the director of IMAL, the Interactive Media Art Laboratory in Brussels. So yes, we couldn't have had a better jury than this, to be honest. It was a fantastic round. It was fantastic discussions over the 3.5 days. Thanks again for joining this process. Thanks again for going through 1,499 submissions from 96 countries and for deciding on the winners. So I think now it is actually time, finally, to reveal them and to present the 2 outstanding grand prizes of this year's STARTS Prize. The Grand Prize for Artistic Exploration goes to Holly Herndon and her project Holly Plus. Holly Herndon has enjoyed worldwide fame for many years, straddling the line between electronic and avant-garde pop music. She's predominantly working with expanding her voice and also very much focusing on artistic research in the field of artificial intelligence. She holds a PhD in composition from Stanford University, and on her most recent album Proto, which was released in 2019, Herndon leads an electronic pop choir on human and AI voices. She was featured on stages all over the world, pretty much, in, for example, the Barbican in London, Volksbühne Berlin, Sona Barcelona, Unsound Krakow, or Club to Club in Milan. Let's look into the project.
We have a special guest who will perform one of my own songs, Swim, through my live performance setup, complete with processing and vocoder, just as I would in concert, just as I did in concert at Sonar 2019. And let's see if you can tell a difference between my performance then and my disembodied performance now.
To your
With Holly Plus, artist Holly Herndon actually created her digital twin, which anyone can use completely freely. Her Holly Plus instrument makes it possible to upload polyphonic audio data to a website. This was not featured yet in this video, but she created a whole website, so you can upload there the audio data and receive a version of it sung by Holly's voice back. The latest version of the artistic research project also features this real-time aspect, which she showed in the performance. We saw here actually the performance and release of the project at the AI Music Festival at Sonar last year in Barcelona. In this lecture performance, she also explained a bit the genesis of her artistic research and how it came all together. She actually experimented with machine learning since 2016, and at the beginning she was not really happy, or she actually wanted to push a bit the boundaries of the use of this technology, of the use of artificial intelligence, rather from automatic composition towards really collaborative performances. This also coincided or fell together with the release of several open source tools in the field of timbre transfer. This is actually technology which allows to transfer one sound quality to the performance of another. And then during the pandemic, as it comes together, she started the first collaboration. She started the first experimentation with artist Maria Anal, where she developed a system to transfer the timbre of a voice into the flute and violin. The project we are awarding now, Holly Plus, is a much more advanced, also in complex development, because several lines, several voices can be transferred at the same time, so thus also whole songs can be transmitted actually simultaneously. In addition to this tool, to this also real-time aspect for performances, Holly wanted to develop a tool which was really freely accessible for everyone, invented or brought into place this collaborative platform as an online instrument and as a tool which all of us could use, which allows to upload, as I said, this audio data and then get the processed Holly voices back. Holly Plus was developed by Herndon Dryhouse Studio, by Never Before Heard Sounds from New York City, and the Voctro Labs in Barcelona. And as if all of this would have not been enough to receive the S+T+ARTS prize, Holly actually embedded this research process in a really fantastic economic question research project, also framework. Hundreds of people are part of the Holly DOA, which is short term for Decentralized Autonomous Organization, where she gives back the responsibility, also the decision-making power, decision-making criteria in a way, of the digital twin and its appropriate use back to the community. But she's not only giving this decision-making, this also steering power to the community, but actually also how to market it and the percentages of selling it. So up to now, 70 works have been sold up to date. All profits from the selling actually are split. 50% go to the creator, 10% go actually to Holly herself, and 40% to this community. And these 40% are then reinvested into the platform in the further development of new infrastructure, new tools for Holly Plus. And by doing this and by also experimenting with her own intellectual property, she actually raises really this discussion on how to use IP, how to also use copyright in the age of artificial intelligence in the music industry. And the jury praised in this project, Holly Plus, really this unique raising of questions about the connections between digital economy, digital sovereignty, and digital identity. So a big congratulations to the wonderful Holly Herndon, to the wonderful collaborators in your project. Congratulations for the STARTS Prize 2022. The second, or the Grand Prize for Innovative Collaboration, goes to the project Antarctic Resolution by Italian artist Giulia Foscari and her Unless agency. Giulia Foscari is an architect, researcher, and activist. She's also founder of this Unless agency, a non-profit agency which is mainly dedicated to interdisciplinary research of extreme environments threatened by our planetary crisis. Her feature of her work, her previous work, actually include extensive collaborations with Rem Koolhaas, also with Sarah Dietz Studios. She was also a lecturer at the University of Hong Kong. She serves as a board member of the Antarctic Southern Ocean Coalition and a member of the International Council of the Museum of Modern Art, and is really exhibited worldwide. Let's look into the video.
The project on display is called Antarctic Resolution. It focuses on Antarctica, which is a seventh continent which we have basically collectively neglected. It's a global commons which accounts for 10% of the landmass of planet Earth, and the ice which stratifies over its bedrock is equivalent to approximately 70% of the fresh water of planet Earth. And this ice is at once the biggest repository of data for climate change, at the same time the biggest threat and menace to all the coastal communities around the world. It is the first time that a cross-disciplinary team comes together to offer a holistic view of the continent. Of the objects in display, the first, snow goggles that Captain Scott wore in Antarctica, stand as a metaphor to the necessity of dropping those goggles and rejecting the pixelated view that data companies give us of Antarctica, which is pixelated, and obtain a wider field of vision, and finally, collectively, forming and constructing a high-resolution image. The work which is behind me is a research which was developed in the past 2 years by over 150 polar specialists from the fields of science, climate change, glaciology, oceanography, but as well as law and political science, architecture, engineering, which for the first time came together to author a publication and to launch a platform which can allow for inciting for resolution on Antarctica. Behind me on the left are some suits which were developed by Unless in collaboration with Dainese and the DR Lab, its R&D organization. They have collaborated already with the Aerospace Agency, and what they do is to provide the scientists who operate in Antarctica with a suit which is intelligent and at the same time allows them survival in the continent beyond their current level of autonomy, which is just of 5 minutes in the winter time when the temperatures reach minus 89 degrees. For us, these suits also stand as a critique to the proliferation of architectures on the continent which are used as a political device, effectively, and an advocacy for a reduction of the contaminating human footprint on the continent. The work which stands behind me is an artwork by Arcangelo Sassolino. It is a large-scale performative installation which was developed in collaboration with David Vaughan, one of the lead glaciologists from the Thwaites Glacier collaboration, which is one of the most important and dangerous glaciers in Antarctica. Its volume stands as a unit of measure, since 250 volumes of the equivalent size melt in Antarctica every second beyond the equilibrium of any glacier. And it's thundering, which you will hear in a second, represents and evokes exactly the sound of ice breaking in Antarctica.
I think Giulia Foscari explained very, very well what she wanted to achieve with this project. Of course, she wanted to draw more attention to Antarctica for one of the our few global commons, and to also establish advocacy for the only continent without indigenous population. The clear message in the whole project is actually protecting Antarctica means also protecting our species. The outcomes of the project, this collaboration, are manifold. I'm holding one of them in my hands. It is this 1,000-page volume where more than 150 really international Antarctica experts were involved from various disciplines like architecture, art, biology, chemistry, climate science, engineering, geography, history, law, literature, logistics, medicine, physics, political science, sociology, and technology. It was published by Lars Müller Verlag, and the whole publication focuses on the scientific potential of the continent, also its current geopolitical significance, and its extraordinary settlement model. You have in the whole publication actually a variety of number of scientific studies, also of photographic essays, of data-driven infographics, of cartographies, and architectural drawings. Very well recommended, this heavy but fantastic publication. Another outcome you saw in the video, the outstanding installations she presented, for example, last year at the Venice Biennial, the Architecture Biennial, and various other museums around the globe. And a third one is also she engages with this platform, this community, in an active call for action. For example, at the 44th Antarctic Treaty Consultative Meeting in Berlin, she launched a whole campaign under the title Speak Up for Antarctica Now. She demonstrated with this project the high relevance of not only focusing in STARTS and all over on the development of new technologies, but also on the call and on the formation of new alliances, including all different kinds of sectors, including all different kinds of know-how to solve our today's challenges. She did this in a fantastic way, using the medium of arts and culture, with really outstanding outcomes. Congratulations to this project, and congratulations to the winner. Also, congratulations to the winners of the honorary mentions, which Gerfried will now present.
Thank you very much. Yes, it's one of the really exciting things every year to see this very broad spectrum of submissions and have this wonderful qualified people in our jury to really pick out the most interesting projects. One thing is totally clear this year: there is an even more growing trend towards artistic activism, towards art projects that are dealing in different ways, in particular, of course, with the questions of sustainability, ecological future, and climate change. A very interesting one is, of course, a sun architecture. The party is in full swing by Stéphane Bonnat and Complex Cafabanum. They are a collective of people who do a lot of projects, have a lot of experience of working in public spaces, and with this project they build a kind of architectural kit where you can use photovoltaics in public space projects, and then you create energy, but the people are also invited to decide who and for which purposes this energy is being used. A very interesting project from Japan is ambient weaving. It's a collaboration by Yasuaki Kakehi Lab from the University of Tokyo, Soso Next, and the Hosu Corporation, which is one of the very traditional weaving and textile corporations in Japan. And combining this very old, 100 years old tradition of special weaving of textile with the new digital electronics technologies is the very important part of this project. So they create intelligent textiles that are able to respond to the environment. Also from Japan comes a really fascinating project by Ori Yoshifuchi, the Avatar Robot Cafe. It's a really exciting project. It's a cafe where your coffee is being served by robots, but the robots are remote controlled by people. People who, because of certain conditions or because of other problems, they are not able to move to participate in the usual type of working space and social participation. So it's really a super exciting project that shows that technology can empower and enable people. Cleaning Emotional Data by Elisa Giardina Papa is a video installation that is dedicated to another very relevant topic of our time. This is the very poor paid micro workers that are working for all these big software and AI companies who need data to train their machine learning algorithms. And Elisa Giardina Papa, she herself also worked in one of these situations, and she dedicated this project to this very interesting topic. Again, this year we have a project that is awarded by a forensic architecture with a very specific style of investigative journalism combined with artistic ways to present topics. They this year are focusing on the extent to which the malware and espionage software Pegasus of the Israeli cyber weapons company NSO Group is used worldwide by governments also to control, to surveil human rights activists and journalists. And it's just exciting to see the huge range also of collaborators and collaborations they are doing again to make this project happen. Joanna Moll created a project Inanimate Species, where she draws a very interesting relationship between the exponential growth of performance and power of our computer technology and the also exponential growth of the extinction of species, in particular of insects. And therefore she draws a very interesting and thought-provoking image of our techno-capitalistic time. Micrometers ATS CFD 001 is a 45-minute musical piece exploring black holes by Belgian artist Valérie Vermeulen. The interesting thing here is that he was able to get a lot of scientific data from gravitational waves, elementary particle trajectory from near black holes, as well as observational data from white dwarfs, and he created a piece that is equally a concert as well as an audiovisual show and sound installation. The Exploded View Beyond Building by Bio-Based Creations from the Netherlands is a house as an exhibition, but a very special house that is entirely made of bio-based materials, and therefore this project in a very convincing way tells the story of these circular building methods and the value chain in construction and building that could be generated and created in the future out of these bio-based materials. But in addition to this very educational exhibition, they also created a very strong network that is now a strong basis for the exchange of information between professionals in the field of designing, architecture, building, scientists, but also artists. The Plant Intelligence Plant by Tianxi Shang is dedicated to the intelligence of plants and uses biotechnological tools and materials to improve the ecology of plants, and therefore also again puts our focus on this very question of our anthropocenic point of view when we work with nature, where we usually see nature just material for our technological process. And finally, in the 10 wonderful honorary mentions is a project that everybody was immediately excited in the jury. It comes from the Dutch artist Guy Schalks, and he was just asking this question, how can we create combustion engines in a future where fossil fuels are no longer suitable or even maybe no longer allowed to be used. And he developed a self-made motor. You can go to his website where you see all the drawings and sketches that you need to build one of your own. And with this slewed motor, how he calls it, he can extract methane gas from ponds and roadside ditches. And he wrote in a very nice way, it may take 8 hours to fill the tank to drive 20 kilometers, but those 20 kilometers are always the best of my life. Some of these projects we definitely will be able to show at Ars Electronica's festival, as Veronika mentioned. There are also these wonderful 18 nominations. We just can give them a short credit here. Please take the opportunity to go to our website, or even then to the Prix Ars Electronica catalog. Come to the festival to see these wonderful projects. And how this will work, again, Veronika will tell us.
Yes, that is the absolute pleasure, the joy of presenting then these projects, not only at Ars Electronica, but pretty much all over Europe. That's what we're very much looking forward to. At the festival, of course, there will be, again, a dedicated STARTS exhibition. So come back to Linz from September 7th to 11th on site in Linz, with people. We will have a STARTS Prize exhibition in the Kepler's Garden at the Johannes Kepler University. We are very much looking forward to this. A particular highlight of the presentation around STARTS will be also the STARTS Day. So a whole day dedicated to conversations, to discussions, also to workshops on STARTS on Friday, September 9th. The theme of the STARTS Day will be under the topic of repairing the present, and how artists contribute in particular to the UN Sustainable Development Goals and the EU Green Deal. If you can't wait that long anymore, I completely understand. Then you have the chance already in July to visit the exhibition in Leiden, in the old observatory in Leiden, which is done in collaboration with WAAG and University of Leiden itself. Under the title More Than Planet, we will show some of the winning projects, also winning projects of the last year, for example, Oceans in Transformation by Territorial Agency. The whole event is actually realized in connection with ESOF, Europe's biggest science conference. Some of the projects, some of the winners will also be represented at the European Robotics Forum in Rotterdam from 28th to 30th of June. And if you only have the time after the festival in autumn, no problem at all. So you can also enjoy this year's STARTS Prize winners and get a glimpse into the projects, the thoughts, the collaborative processes and artistic research at the STARTS Day at the Frankfurter Book Fair in October, exactly on Friday, 21st of October. From October to December onwards, then we will also have a show on and with and about STARTS again running from our partner Beaux-Arts, the Center for Fine Arts in Brussels. More on this and many other presentations upcoming in the next month, also in the next years. We will, of course, inform you continuously about it. But for now, actually, I would like to say goodbye. Goodbye to our viewers online. And we will be, in a few instances, also available for questions to the journalists. Thank you so much for watching.